Islam, Islam, Islam. This is a service announcement, and let me tell you, I did this before I started running today. I was late to the party because I was supposed to come out here earlier this AM to run. I was supposed to come out here earlier this AM to run, and I'm out here now. And I put this announcement up. It's called Human Trafficking. What's the rest of it? I hate when it doesn't show me my title in my feed. But anyway, Islam. It's called Human Trafficking. How the United States Department of State Corporation Company gonna have a whole system, task force, and process, an office for human trafficking to combat. It's called, this is, I quote, www.state.gov. So we know there's an issue with you having state.gov because a state is established by sovereigns and you are not a sovereign, you're a corporation. So we're going to lien you if we haven't already done it. I'm at the point where I done linked so many people and so many, so many organizations, corporate organizations trying to act like they a government and trying to act like they the state. I'm at the point where I gotta actually create a report of all the people all the corporations I've liened for their violations of the supreme laws of the land, and they're warring against the actual state, which is the Moroccan state, which is the Moorish National Republic federal government, the Moorish American consulate, and every brother and sister Moorish American national that have already declared and proclaimed their nationality, and all of those who have already proclaimed or declared it within their own spirit. So this is www.state.gov. I think they need to change that to www.allcapitalizations state, but don't even use the word at this point because we don't want any Moors to get confused at what a state is, because a state, it can only be established by the sovereigns of the land, the true inheritors of the land. That's you, that's me, Moors. That ain't nobody else. Can nobody else create a state here at Morocco? Not a damn soul, or lack thereof a soul. I digress. So it's called Undersecretary for Civilian Security, Democracy, and Human Rights. Wow, I thought that was interesting because we already talked about what a civilian is and who is a civilian and who is a sovereign of nobility. Moors, you are nobles, you are not civilians, because nobody had to teach you how to do anything. You came in here already knowing Islam, and you can thank mommy for that. And I want to thank whoever, it might have been me, it might have been you, it might have been us all, but we had 48 Moabites, Asiatic stargates request membership into the Moorish American Consulate NE Amexem group. 48 today. I thought it was something going on in the stars. I was like, how the heck? We ain't never got 48. And they were all Asiatic stargates. So we doing a job getting the mothers to realize they got to fix the sin they placed you in. So I am completely happy about the fact that we had 48 new members to the group. And they were of Asiatic women stargates, which is the purpose of our platform, is to get the mothers to realize they got to step up their game and do their due diligence and get back into leadership and get back into themselves. So sons, you're going to have to make dinner every now and then because mommies ain't got time to be making no dinner. They saving the nation, and they saving you in the process of saving the nation. So the reason I came on here is because of human trafficking. I was actually having conversations with one of the other viziers, Vizier Light Tajiri Bey. I'm having issues. Light Tajiri Bey, and we were talking about human trafficking. And I think it's interesting because the so-called state Department of State really thinks that that just because you oppose the mission and you'll act in a particular way, you are combating and monitoring and combating human trafficking, while human trafficking is your #1 source of finance for your corporate business. That is the Department of State, the United States Department of State, which we're talking about a corporation, a Roman British company, okay? Islam. Office to monitor and combat trafficking in persons. The office this is their mission. The Office to Monitor and Combat Trafficking in Persons, the TIP office, leads the department's global efforts to combat modern slavery through the persecution of traffickers, the protection of victims, and the prevention of human trafficking by objectively analyzing government efforts in identifying global trends, engaging in supporting strategic bilateral and multilateral diplomacy, targeting foreign assistance to build sustainable capacity of governments in civil. When they talk about civil, they talking about Albion's. Just so you know, they talking about Albion's society. Advancing the cooperation of federal and anti-trafficking policies, agencies managing and leveraging operational resources to achieve strategic priorities, and engaging in partnering in civil societies, the private sector, and the public to advance the fight against human trafficking. Always know the people who are trying to promote the most support. So now we're talking about a corporation that wants to assist in the to combat as well as to monitor. So not only do they want to watch to make sure human trafficking is going on, they want to combat it. What does that mean? I ain't gonna say nothing. So the ambassador at large is John Cotton Richmond. I'm not gonna say John Cotton Richmond. The National Trafficking Hotline. Who is a national? That's you, that's me. Who is trafficking hotline for? That's you, that's me. So Moors, when you are unlawfully detained through human trafficking practices of all of these gangs, fraud to be governmental law enforcement, which are enforcing no law such as any law, you should be calling the human trafficking hotline. That's for you. The finances for that corporation was to combat and monitor human trafficking, and the only people who can be trafficked and who are humans, a part of national human trafficking, that's for you, Morse. They're trying to act like it's for something else. It's for you, Morse. Utilize the services that were provided and the financing and organizations that were provided to stop the trafficking of the nationals at Morocco, Northwest Amexem, as well as South Central and the adjoining islands. What is modern slavery? Know your rights, Brozor. 15 ways you can help fight human trafficking. And then on June 20th of 2019, a document came out called 2019 Trafficking in Persons Report. If you go to that report and you download that report, the first page you see on that report are 5 pictures of people of color, none to represent the actual purpose for the actual program being instituted to combat national human trafficking. And for it to be national means it is for nationals, Moorish American nationals, not property. Because you can do what you want to do with your property however you see fit, and nobody can combat that, because if you choose to be a United States citizen, by that very admission, you're choosing to be trafficked as property. So it would be called property trafficking, something like that. So what was I saying? I wanted to read that document because as soon as you pass the 3rd page, the first thing you see is our Asiatic sons in these other countries. All right. Human trafficking is one of the most heinous crimes on earth, but everybody's whether actively or unconsciously participating in human trafficking. Right now, traffickers are robbing a staggering 24.9 million of their freedom, of people in their freedom, in their basic human dignity. That's roughly 3 times the population of the corporate state of New York. We must combat together and build momentum to defeat human trafficking. We must hold the perpetrators of this heinous crime accountable. We must achieve justice for survivors as they rebuild their lives. We must reinvigorate our shared commitment to extinguishing human trafficking wherever it exists. There is no time to waste. So I think it's very interesting because the very people who are trafficking the nationals created a task force, as well as monitor, as well as put up processes and directives to try to make it seem as if they're trying to make it seem as if they're helping the situation when the situation would never even existed without their corporate and unlawful enterprises. All right. Achieving these requires sound information, tried and true approaches. Though the annual Trafficking in Persons report, that's the TIP report, we assess comprehensively what governments around the world are doing to combat the crime. Well, we're doing a lot to combat the crime. The actual government here at Morocco, which is the Moorish American Nationals, the Moorish American Nationals are doing everything they have within their power and command and authority to combat human trafficking. That's leaning all of these corporations that are involved in it. That's putting them all in POW camps, because POW camps is meant for them. That's why they were built. I want to go to the document, y'all, because I thought it was like so funny when I went into this document. Is this the actual document? Oh, all right. The Department of State joins the Trump administration, community leaders, global allies, and survivors in our shared fight to end human trafficking. We must be resolute. We cannot leave anyone behind. Rather, we must harness innovation and ingenuity to prevent trafficking, identify and empower those who survive from it, and send the strongest message possible to traffickers that we will not tolerate their despicable and criminal acts. Well, you too must look in the mirror. All of those who work for the leadership team of this corporate infrastructure, the Department of State under the United States corporate Asian company that's been leaned and no longer has the ability to operate in any performed ability. All right. So, dear reader, this is from the so-called ambassador at large. That's that Mr. And this was from Michael R. Pompey, the biggest human trafficker. I want to get to the really good information, y'all, because it was some good information. It was very funny. As we, in the Office to Monitor and Combat Trafficking in Persons, work to prepare the 187 country narratives for this year's TIP report. That's the Trafficking in Persons. So they know, they're talking about a lot of things when they say persons. You got to look up the etymology on persons. Where's the document? I just want the report because there's specific language in there that you have to read and you have to discern yourself with. And I have it because I'm on this platform. I can't be on that platform to bring it up. But I want to show you one of the first pictures of so-called human trafficking is your brother Asiatic. You see that? See that? Once they get past the actual introduction where they try to make it seem like it ain't you, they put everybody in there but you, y'all. Everybody's in there but you. Every other nation of color is you. But then when you pass that page, the first picture you see is your sons, Asiatic women. All right? I'm looking for a specific language. So I downloaded this and I posted it on the social platform. I really did post it on the social platform. Because it was specific language that was like crazy funny. And now I can't find it. But the question you have to ask yourself, what are some of the ways? I'm going to read some of this for y'all, so bear with me. Don't leave. Bear with me. Each instance of human trafficking takes a common toll. Each crime is an affront to the basic ideas of human dignity, inflicting grievous harm on individuals as well as on their families and communities. Yet, or tribes, we want to put tribes in there. Yet, if it were possible to hold human trafficking up to the light like a prism, each facet would reflect a different version of the crime, distinct in content or context, by the same in essence. Together, they would show the vast and variety areas of methods traffickers use to compel adults and children of all ages, educational levels, nationalities, and immigration statuses into service in both illicit and illicit sectors. Traffickers may be family. I'm going to read this one again. Traffickers may be family members, recruiters, employers, or strangers who explicit vulnerable and circumstances to coerce victims to engage in commercial sex or deceive them into forced labor. They commit these crimes through schemes that take victims hundreds of miles away from their homes or in the same neighborhoods where they were born. Examples of that is when they talk about families. So they're saying families, right? We know we tribes and we know families denote to slaves. So when we talk about families, we talk about Albions. When we talk about tribes, we talk about Asiatics. So how are family members or tribal members participating in the trafficking, the trafficking of their brothers and sisters? One, so-called anonymous tips from other family members to call corporations listed as so-called child youth services or so-called foster care systems that are installations in different segments of human trafficking. Because you cannot stake a claim against any national or natural being unless on affidavit of fact signed and sealed by the individual under perjury stating that a crime or that a party has been injured. So if you want to say something was wrong, if somebody wants to sit here and put a claim against me, first of all, they should never be contacting a corporation. That is a violation of Article 3 of the bylaws of the Constitution for the Moorish Science Temple of America. That's a violation of the Zodiac Constitution. That's a violation of all supreme laws of the land, Treaty of Peace and Friendship, Constitution for the United States of America. That is why they are co-conspirators and also can be implicated in the RICO Act, which I only utilize that to say if two or more individuals come together to deceive anybody, regardless if they're tribal members, family members, employees, agencies, whatever that is, you implicate yourself and you can be held for human trafficking. Because contrary to your mental instabilities, if you call a highwayman, a bandit, a policy enforcer, an outlaw, a terrorist, or a bandit, you are actively participating in the trafficking of your tribal members, and you're violating the supreme laws of the land. Did I hit anybody's nerves? My plan is to hit you hard, hit you so hard you won't go back to that plantation and human traffic your family, your tribal members, just because you want some fake fiat. I don't care what problems, what issues you as Moorish American nationals have. You have no right to sit here and say you want freedom and you want to be outside of this jurisdiction and paradigm while still pulling your brothers and sisters within it through family court. We talked about this yesterday. Through calling these individuals who can only activate once you commit a contract, whether verbal or written, to be involved in their lives. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's one way. So if you have a neighbor as Asiatics, and if you have a neighbor and they're Asiatics, let's say this, and you think that the babies are not being fed well, or because a lot of you Asiatic sisters and sons, y'all off the chain, because you'll call so-called CYS or any of these other facilities or corporations just because you mad, just because you want to get back at somebody, you're actively participating in the human and national trafficking of your brothers and sisters. It's not on this part. I don't know. You could be in a bad area. It could be them messing with me because I'm pushing their buttons, but stay with me because it's clear on my end and I'm not getting any interruptions on this part. So if you call and you say, and your first due diligence is, if you see children are not being fed well, what is your obligation? Well, you might want to go there and knock on the door, and you might want to say, and you might want to just go over there with a casserole dish. You might just want to actually cook some dinner for them and take it over there. You see how easy that is? Because she might not have any finances because that mother, that Asiatic woman, is being subjugated and victimized by all these gangs that you're calling on her for. And all she or he, if it's a son taking care of the children, needs is the support from other tribal members to care enough to get involved. And if you domicile near that and that's going on, it is your responsibility to contact her. So if I had a neighbor that the children would always come to my home looking for food, I would willfully take the food to her house and give her food. I would do that. That's me. That's Sharon. I'm just not evil like other people are. Just natural evilness doesn't exist within me. So if you have that, if she needs support her, help her, or him. So if she needs finances, give her some finances. Help her, buy some clothes for the children. Do their hair if they always coming out the house looking all busted. Wash their clothes. You might have a laundry facility within your home and she got to go to the laundry facility. She got to go to the so-called laundromat because she don't have it. You can help in a multitude of ways, Morris, but you don't have the right to call any corporation who's only looking to further victimize and subjugate you through human trafficking. And I talked yesterday about ways that they do this. Forced servitude, deception. Like a part of human trafficking they're doing right now is reparations. Oh, for all you so-called Asiatics that think that want reparations, sign this application. And because you want reparations or you want some type of payout for all the subjugation that you've been involved in, you're gonna sit here and sign yourself up for a contract, and now you've obligated yourself into a warship status because the realities are they don't have anything to give you. They're broke. They never had money. They got you to sit here and think that Federal Reserve notes was money. So whenever I have people contact me, what does FRNs mean? Federal Reserve notes. What does Federal Reserve notes mean? That's the so-called things, the pieces of paper you have in your pocket that you think is money. Oh, veto. I don't know what veto is. So the point is that I'm trying to make is that the Department of State Corporation is trying to act as if they want to combat national human trafficking, but when our Moors contact that trafficking hotline, when they're being violated by a trafficker on the roads, which is what the police department is, as well as CYS, foster care systems, these tribunals, real estate, hospitals, attorneys, transportation departments, everything that you could think of as so-called installations of government are human trafficking centers. And you have to willfully come in there and fill out an application. And when you willfully go into those facilities and fill out an application, you are absolutely trafficking yourself, thinking that they're going to give you anything. They don't have anything to give you. Everything you have is to give them. Because once you sign on the dotted line, they take everything from you. I got to call in. Seriously? This is what happens. You know, I'm supposed to be relaxing at the... Give me 1 second. 1 second. So human trafficking, what is that? What's up? I didn't move it, but I'll call you. Hold on, Karen. I'm in the middle of something. Hold on, Karen. Karen, I was in the middle of a video live. That's all I'm trying to say. That's all I'm trying to say. I was in the middle of a live video. I'll fix it. If there's something wrong, I'll fix it. That's it. Okay. 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 And we would have done that before we left if we would have known. Karen, I'm not trying to have an argument. I'm not trying to have an argument. But Karen, don't give me this energy. That's not fair. Islam. Signature is an endorsement of any instrument. Signature is an, I don't know what you just said. I don't know what you were saying that in regards to. Okay, anyway. So I got to go back to my report. Got to go back to the report. There are certain code words that I wanted to point out to you. Certain code words. Okay. The United States considers trafficking in persons, human trafficking, and modern slavery to be interchangeable umbrella terms that refer to both sex and labor trafficking. The Trafficking Victim Protection Act of 2000, as amended in the protocols to prevent, suppress, or punish trafficking in persons, especially women and children, supplementing the United Nations Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime, describe this compelled service using a number of different terms, including involuntary servitude, slavery, or practices similar to slavery, such as debt bondage and forced labor. This is what I wanted to read, and this is what I was looking for. Because they said women and children are the number one individuals who are enslaved by human trafficking. Why is that? How are women and children? Well, one, because women create the children, so if the woman is compromised, automatically the child's going to be compromised in human trafficking. So that's one. Two, when you have your children, which is why I constantly talk about fix the sin your mother placed you in, and the mother placed you in that sin because she didn't give you the law. She didn't give you the law. She didn't give you your culture. She gave you everything that denotes to slavery. How are you a debt bondage? How are you in debt bondage? Because all of these so-called, these unlawful or lacked and assumed contracts that individuals think that they have on you, so reduces you to so-called debt bondage. Now, how are our people in debt bondage? One, they think they have to work at a job as an indentured servant for something that is not paying them, because Federal Reserve notes is not payment for any services or any labor that you bestowed. It's a lawful currency, and lawful money is supposed to be paid to you when you are in any of these so-called jobs, right? So one, they violating first, but at the same time, you violated as well because you said you were property, but they know darn well based on the law, you can never be a part of their union. So the only way you could be entered into their particular corporate tribunal union is through property. So that's why when we say you're property, because you cannot exist within their platform any other way but through property. So that's the debt bondage. The debt bondage is you assuming that you have contracts because you don't know what contracts mean or the elements that govern contracts or the laws that govern contracts. So you're a debt bondage slave because you don't realize you don't have any debts, Asiatics. You don't have any debts. They have debts because they've created and established all these corporations and they're being funded through that. Forced labor. How are they forcing you to labor? Well, they're forcing you to labor because you feel as though in order to eat, sleep, have clothes, live, you have to go get a job. So it's forced labor. So you're literally being forced to go to these so-called companies and get jobs because you feel as though you have to have notes, Federal Reserve notes, in order to operate on your own land. So that's another way you're enforced servitude, involuntary servitude. So what is involuntary servitude? Servitude forced upon you involuntarily. Servitude forced upon you. My sister, oh my goodness. Forced servitude is in the POW camps. When you're unlawfully being detained by these facilities as a debt servant, through a debt bondage that you never have, on a contract you never sign, and it's not even a contract, they're holding you on your ignorance. Literally, everybody is only being held on ignorance. So that's one of the reasons, one of the ways involuntary servitude is when they push you into these POW camps, and now you're being forced, or you're submitting to working just to have some type of level of comfort while you're in those POW camps. There was other things that I wanted to point out, but I posted a lot of stuff in here, and I posted that actual report. I posted the link to the report and the actual file to the report, because you need to read up on those things and know what human trafficking really is. Oh my goodness. Nationals, you're being trafficked because you're deciding to remain ignorant, and you're placing your children's and you're subjugating your children to that as well. And you're implicated because every application you fill out, you're submitting yourself to the possibility of being human trafficked. And because you're ignorant of the law, you don't know how to combat these accusations against you, because you don't have the fundamental knowledge to combat them. Meaning, knowing that even though the report is titled, hold on. Trafficking in Persons Report 2019. They put it's the TIP report. It's called the TIP report, or you want to put Trafficking in Persons Report 2019. And the so-called office is under the United States Department of State, corporation company. We always want to keep this corporation company, and someone should do the lien. Amor should do the lien actually for the United States Department of State, just because of this report. Not only because this report is not doing the job that they have been charged to do, because the realities are every Moorish American national that stands on sovereignty and that stands on nationality should not be being submitted to being trafficked in these corporation companies that are all licensed under this infrastructure, shouldn't be forced into these facilities, and shouldn't be called outside of their nationality to justify the trafficking of that persons, because there's a person that they're trying to traffic that's not the national they're speaking to right in front of them. Because when you declare and proclaim your nationality and you say, I am Sharon Tracy Gale Babe, Moorish American national, in propria persona, sui juris, in proprio solo, in proprio haeredis, at all times and at all points in time. I am a descendant of the great pharaohs of Kemet and the Canaanites and the Moabites. I am the law because I am the sovereign. I am the government because I am the sovereign state. And I demand and command you state your name and nationality for the record without any further comment, because I need to know who you are, who's sitting here asking me who I am. You do not have jurisdiction over me, and I command you I command you set me free, return my property, and cease and desist all actions against me. This is my notice of intent to lien you. If you do not do as commanded and set me free, notice the agent is notice the principal, notice the principal is notice the agent. No United States citizens has jurisdiction or authority over any Moorish American national, because you don't even have a status to be here on this land, and you are identifying as a persons, not a national, because a persons is corporate ward status persons. It's a corporation. So they're saying trafficking in persons. And it could be meaning a corporate person based on the definition, or a natural persons, and they're not making the distinction. Islam? So they're not making the distinction, and you need to do the lien to tell them your infrastructure, your corporation is only to prevent and detect and to eliminate the human trafficking of natural beings, the sovereigns of the land, the Moorish American nationals, or your corporation, organizational company is going to be dissolved. And the realities are, because we know their infrastructure has been trafficking of the Moorish American nationals, because we know that with all of their corporate business that they've been sanctioning, approving, funding, has been trafficking the Moorish American nationals. Every child protective service corporation at Morocco, in every corporate state, should already have liens done. Wherever you domicile Moors, you need to go do the research. I've already done. Child and Protective Services of the County of Delaware of Pennsylvania Corporation. All of Pennsylvania got liened in every corporate senator and every corporate House of Representative, as well as every county, every commissioner, every solicitor of the corporate district of Pennsylvania has also been liened. And they ain't stopping. They're just going to exponentiate. Every last one. Because they're using the so-called foster care system. They're using the so-called CYS and Child Protective Services, as well as the so-called fake family courts that you're not supposed to be there because you're not slaves. You are tribes. And you are heirs to the Moroccans, the Moabites. They all need to be liened. Not one Asiatic son or daughter should be answering to any corporation styling itself as so-called family court. They know they're not talking about you. All of those corporations were only and are only authorized to do business with their own subjects, their own property, which only can be an Albion or an alien. An Albion or an alien. Are you understanding what I'm saying? So everybody needs to be liened. The individual currently hypothecating, trying to control the narrative in any of these corporation companies, whoever the so-called caseworker calling you on the phone, they need to be liened. Every last one. I don't care if they look like you. I don't care what they look like. Danira Ryan has been liened, and all of her office agents and the principals and administrators all with her have also been liened. Because Asiatics, I don't care if you're ignorant, I don't care if you don't know what's going on. When we come to you and tell you you're violating your own brothers and sisters and you continue to behave in that just manner, you're going to get liened. That's if you are a mother, that's if you are a brother, that's if you are my consort, that's if you are my child. If you are violating under those nom de guerres, you're going to get liened. Notice the agent is notice the principal. Notice the principal is notice the agent. Because regardless if you're ignorant of the laws, you better sit your little butt down, turn off all of those little fake TV shows that you watch, and watch the ones you really need to be watching, which are all the YouTube channels that's trying to give you the knowledge, and you're sitting here staying in the sandbox playing with the other wards. So you have to lien them. Everybody. It's got to get liened out they got to get liened out of it. Don't be mad that you got to do it. Just get it done. I've liened many tribal members that I think that they're my family. I've liened them. Lien them. Their world will start crumbling, and they'll come right where they have to come. They got to come kicking and screaming. Some of them going to come kicking and screaming. And the reasons they're going to be kicking and screaming because you liened them. Because you had to force them to stop being a party to the human trafficking going on with our brothers and sisters every day. You had to do that. We have to do that. If we going bang until the bones bleed, the Albions, we got to do our brothers and sisters who's making it so the Albions can get involved. They're the reasons why they're involved, because they sitting here signing contracts unlawfully to sit here and get you arrested through so-called all of these different installations. They're doing it. We got to stop it. Period. So I only brought this on so that to bring light to human trafficking and what it really is, and to show you, based on every infrastructure, corporate infrastructure that has been established through these fraudulent albions and U.S. government, U.S. citizenships, have been hypothecating and complicit in the human trafficking of the Asiatic nation. In the military, I ain't even talk about the military. They doing it too. When they go there, when they go to different countries, and they fight in different in wars, their brothers and sisters in different wars, they're violating the law just by even enlisting. Just to even enlist into the so-called military, so-called Navy, the so-called Air Force, the so-called National Guard, they're trafficking. They're the soldiers. Going there, moving babies from here, moving women from there, raping them, doing all types of travesties on our land masses abroad. They're doing it as well. My responsibility is to let you know your place so you can fix it. You can't, if you don't know you got a sore and it's gaping and it's a gaping wound, but yet it's killing you, you're just gonna die. But it's my responsibility to tell you, oh, you got a wound right there, go fix it, go clean it up. And when I tell you you got a wound right there, go fix it and clean it up, it's your responsibility to get it cleaned up. So if I'm telling you, oh, you identifying as a Negro, colored, and black under a U.S. citizenship that doesn't exist, and because you are getting JOBs in that whole infrastructure, you're participating in the RICO, as well as participating in the human trafficking of your brothers and sisters every day. You're violating the supreme laws of the land. It's your responsibility to fix it. Regardless of if you don't know how, just start somewhere. Start somewhere to fix it. Start somewhere to fix it. Start somewhere to fix it. I smell barbecue. That smell used to be very, very pleasant to me. But now, when I smell it, I get sick. I get sick when I smell it. It's not a pleasant smell anymore. It's really not. I'm just saying, it's really not. So Islam, Pax Tamor. I think I said enough, and I'm getting off this platform. Peace and love. Islam Tariq, Pax Tamor. Oh, wait a minute. Foster care systems. Watch the videos. I mean, the articles that were coming up on the timeline. They were talking about how a lot of these foster care systems, because the ones that should bring you to focus is Annie. Annie was the most historical platform that showed you the human trafficking of children, because in that video, Annie, what did Annie get used for? She was used to become as a political to get elected. So I think it was Daddy Warbucks. I can't remember what his name in the movie was, but he, and then, you know, the Asiatics did a new version of it with Jamie Foxx, the actor Jamie Foxx, whereas though the Asiatic daughter, she was in a foster care system, and they needed to do a PR fluff piece about him being connected to the people, so he rented Annie. So he rented Annie to make it seem like he was very connected to the people and the desires and needs of the community, just like with Warbucks, just like with Mommy Dearest. She only got foster children and adopted children so she could appeal to the public to be human, while she was kicking her little foster care children's butts. And then we remember we have countless and countless of other cases where they're not feeding them, they're soliciting for sex, they're killing them, organ harvesting, trafficking them. And that's just in the foster care system. And where are they getting these children in the foster care systems? From when they took them from the tribes and the Moors because of some bullcrap anonymous tip that it could have been from another Asiatic, it could have been they just needed a child and knew darn well you were ignorant to the fact of any way of getting your child back. So they've used the foster care system as well as the child protective service system, among other venues, to human traffic your children, as well as the gynecologist and the OBGYN, as well as the so-called Planned Parenthoods to get you to not even have the babies. And then if you do have the babies, the when you get it aborted, they take the feces and do whatever they do with the not the feces, I'm sorry, the fetuses, and do whatever they do with the fetuses. Some of them use them for cosmetics. Some of them sell them as meat for consumption. A multitude of, and some of them sell them to research laboratories. Not to mention, when you go and get a pap smear, they could be taking things out of you to create children. How do you think certain individuals go to in vitro fertilization? And this is another documentation that came out a while back, where a now beyond woman went to go get in vitro fertilization, and they inseminated, supposedly inseminated her with the so-called sperm of a son. But we know children don't come from sperm. So what they literally did was implant an Asiatic's eggs into that albion to get her pregnant. That's it. Just the 35 notes. Nothing more. Yep. Who said that? I don't know what. You know what I'm saying? I was like, so what am I saying? Moors, and a lot of the jobs that you have, a lot of the jobs that you have, what needs to be addressed? I don't know what you're talking about. What needs to be addressed? Exactly. That's something that needs to be addressed. What? Clarify your statement. So in all of those different organizations, they create organizations, put a puff piece out that says, oh, our mission is to stop human trafficking. But at the same time, once the cameras have stopped rolling and once they get into their real organizations, they are trafficking, who's charging for information? You still ain't clarified. Who's charging for information? Because there's no one charging for knowledge. Knowledge is free and open for you and at everybody's fingertips. Everybody has it at their disposal. Google, even though it's going to give you some deception along with some facts, it gives you everything. Plus, we got the Moorish American Consulate grid and outline, along with all the supporting documentations to get all of the grid done. Every 8 to 9 tiers of the grid. All the supporting documents are in the file section of the Moorish American Consulate NE Amexem Facebook group. Everything is there. Every freaking thing is there for you to liberate yourself. Everything. And you didn't have to buy no package. You didn't have to send no fiat. You didn't have to send no fiat. Now, in terms of the Moors now, somebody said you need to the consulate needs to link up with this organization or that organization. No, absolutely not. They don't. All of those Moorish organizations that have processes out there that the people, the sovereigns can use, should be coming and giving that information freely. But we know most of our sons, because these are sons out there in those organizations, are out there to fleece the people, because a lot of your own wearing turbans or fezzes want part of a game. They look at everything like colonization because they got colonized mind. So you'll have people charging 1,500 notes, 1,000 notes, 3,000 notes, all of this to assist you in liberation. And it ain't damn guaranteed, because you have to be able to articulate yourself, and you have to also be knowledgeable in the law. If you are knowledgeable in the law, can you ever be snared into a trap? If you know that's a trap right there, and you know the law, would that person be able to snare you into a trap? No, because you knowledge. The only reasons why our people are ensnared in the traps is because they're not knowledgeable in law. They're ignorant. What has to be fixed in our community is not contracts that don't exist, because the contracts don't exist. You give them validity by saying you have a contract, by standing in the place of that as that surety, by saying, oh, I'm that Namdagir. Yup, I live at that address. Yup, you're implicating yourself to have a contract because you don't know. Islam? So I'm gonna get off this platform. Pax it some more. Robin, you late. I think you're late. You might have just jumped on. I don't know. You might be late. But this document was talking about human trafficking and how everybody is complicit from one point to trafficking the humans and the nationals. based on the JOBs you have. And you can't sit here and use as an excuse, I'm just doing my job. That's the thing everybody says, I'm just doing my job. Okay, well, while you're doing your job, you're going to lose everything, including your freedom. Because a JOB, regardless of what you have, you still have to hold it up to constitutional principles and the supreme laws of the land. So if you're violating anyone, you need to get another JOB. You need to leave. And a lot of these JOBs are violating everybody. So you might want to sit your butt home. You might want to sit your butt home, get that damn grid done, stop violating your brothers and sisters, scooping shovelfuls of karmatic debt on you and your heirs. Stop it. Packs out to more. Peace and love. Oh, it's not going to let me stop? Really? I can't stand Facebook.